it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition for tonight headlines. We have the President Ghili participated in the 31st summit of the League of Arab States in Algeria. For the international scene, Pyongyang fires at least 10 missiles. Seoul replicates with 3 air-to-surface. Welcome to our newsroom. The capital of Algeria, Algiers, hosted yesterday the opening of the 31st summit of the Arab League. Several heads of state and government took part, including the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh. Listen to this report.
The 31st Arab League Summit has officially opened yesterday in Algiers, the capital of Algeria, which coincides with the 68th anniversary since the outbreak of the November revolutions in Algeria in 1954. More than 20 heads of state and government and several monarchs participated at the summit, in particular the President of the Republic's Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, who took part in this Arab summit, accompanied by a strong delegation from his country. This summit, which started yesterday, it's unique because it's held after 3 years because of the outbreak of the COVID-19. The Secretary General of the UN, Mr. Antonio Guterres, was participated. The Algerian President, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, warmly welcomed all the guests of his counterpart countries, including the President of the Republic's Excellency, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, known not only for his role as a peacemaker that he plays in the Horn of Africa region, but also for his leadership in favor of economic integration, which is the primary objective of the summit for the reunifications of Arab countries. Several subjects were on the agenda of this summit, in particular the crisis in Palestine, the adoption of a strategic program of general agreement aimed at increasing the level of cohesion and the capacity of the Pan-Arab organization. The most important in this summit is the realization's efficient mechanism of action, mediation, and interpositions in the crisis period, particularly political and security within its member countries of these Arab organizations. The 31st summit of the League of Arab will also serve as a framework for the adoption of a useful resilience strategy for the member countries of this organization in order to better understand the consequences of international crises. The meeting also devoted another important round of its debate. It's the identification of the strategic partnership for economic cooperations between the countries of the Arab League. What should be remembered from this summit of the Arab League is a possible reunifications of the Arab countries in order to create an integrated Arab vision facing the common challenges, which can only be the way through certain cohesions between the different parties. Awa Abdi, Alger, the capital of Algeria.
The President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh, expressed his sincere thanks and appreciation to His Excellency President Abdelmajid Tebboune, President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria. Listen to the head of state.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. فخامة الرئيس عبد المجيد تبون رئيس الجمهورية الجزائرية الديمقراطية الشعبية الشقيقة، رئيس الدورة الحالية لمؤتمر القمة العربي، أصحاب الجلالة والفخامة والسمو، معالي الأمين العام لمجامعة الدول العربية، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks and appreciation to my brother, His Excellency President Abdelmajid Tebboune, President of the People's Democratic Republic of Algeria, and to his dear government and people for the warm welcome and generous hospitality extended to us from this summit. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to my brother, His Excellency President Kais Said, and to the Sister Republic of Tunisia for hosting the previous summit. And I thank His Excellency, the Secretary General of the League of Arab States, and the General Secretary for their valuable efforts in the service of joint Arab actions and for following up on the recommendations of previous summits. Your Majesties, Excellencies, and Highness, we are meeting again at a time when our Arab world is still living with the impact of enormous challenge and worsening crisis that not only pose a serious threat to civil peace, stability, and development, but also represent an existential threat to some of our countries. In this regard, we have a dual responsibility to halt the deterioration and face the escalation of dangers, and this can only be done through solidarity, cohesion, and a spirit of collective responsibility to overcome this crisis and build a better future that lives up to the hopes and aspirations of our peoples and prevent external interferences in the internal affairs of our countries. It is a good opportunity to meet in Algeria, the country of pride, dignity, honor, and endurance, known for its relentlessness in defending Arab causes and famous for its initiatives in the field of strengthening the unity of Arab rank. The latest of which is the Unification Conference for the Realization of Palestinian National Unity, which resulted in the signing of the Algiers Declaration on ending division and achieving Palestinian recognition. We welcome once again this agreement, which constitutes an important step towards Palestinian unity in the consolidation of the national project for the restoration of the rights of the brotherly Palestinian people and the establishment of their independent state with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital. We highly appreciate the role played by the Sister Republic of Algeria in sponsoring the talks and carrying out this work. We also emphasize our support for all efforts aimed at strengthening the resolve of the valiant Palestinian people to resist and defeat the Zionists' occupation. With regard to the situation in Yemen, we express our regret for not extending the truce in view of the difficult humanitarian conditions experienced by the Yemeni brothers. We reaffirm our full support for the legitimate government, and we also express our support for the efforts to end the conflict and the humanitarian crisis in this brotherly country based on the agreed references, namely the Gulf Initiative and its executive mechanisms, the results of the National Dialogue Conference and the 2015 Security Council resolution, so as to guarantee Yemen's unity, independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity. With regard to developments in Libya, we reiterate the importance of reaching a political settlement accepted by all Libyans. In this context, we call on all Libyan parties to engage in a comprehensive dialogue, which is the only way to overcome the current impasse and to meet the aspirations of the brotherly Libyan people. In the same context, we reiterate our full solidarity with the Republic of Sudan, and we also express our hope that the political forces and the parties to peace in this brotherly country will be able to reach an agreement that leads to the formation of a civilian government to lead the country and prepare the climate for the holding of fair and transparent elections at the end of the transition period.
It is a good opportunity to meet in Algeria, the countries of pride, dignity, and honor. Listen once again the Head of State, Ismail Omar Guelleh.
With regard to developments in Somalia, we commend the efforts made by the Somali government in the field of strengthening state institutions and fighting terrorism, and we note in this regard the great success achieved after the election of President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud against the Shabab movement. At the same time, we call for support and assistance to this brotherly country by this historic stage it's going through. In light of the current regional and international conditions, we urgently need to unite our words and ranks in the face of challenges posed by these conditions. Within this framework, we hope that the Algeria Summit will constitute a milestone in the process of joint Arab actions given the wisdom of the brothers in Algeria, enabling them to achieve the desired goals and objectives. In conclusion, I reiterate my thanks to His Excellency President Abdelmajid Tebboune, as well as the government and the brotherly people of Algeria for hosting this summit and preparing well for its success. And we ask Almighty God to crown the acts of our summit with success and to guide us all towards for the good of our nation.
The handing over of the rotating presidency of the Arab Summit was officially handed over to Algeria by the Tunisian President, Mr. Kais Saied, to his Algerian counterpart, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, in the presence of the head of state and government of the member countries of the Arab League. Before the closing of the summit, the head of state of Arab countries have reviewed with the current situations in the Arab world, the consequences of the crisis and the Palestinian file, foreign interference in the Arab countries, and other topics were on the menu of this summit held after 3 years and lasted 2 days. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, delivered a speech in which he said that the Arab world continues the life in the shadow of formidable challenges and deepening crises, which not only pose a serious threat to civil peace, stability, and development, but also represent an existential threat to some of our countries. the head of state added that the Arab countries have a real responsibility to stop the deterioration and face the escalating danger, and this will only be possible through solidarity, collective cohesion to overcome three crises and build a better future that meets the hope of the peoples of the Arab countries. The summit of the League closed with a report of the Committee for the Implementation of the and Decisions and Commitment of the Arab League. The President of the National Assembly, His Excellency Mohammed Ali Mohammed, chaired this Wednesday, November 2, the second public sessions of the second ordinary session of the year 2022 in the presence of the Prime Minister, His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, all the parliamentarians, the ministers, the member of government. The agenda of the plenary was devoted mainly to the study and adoptions of 4 draft text law on the ratification by the Republic of Djibouti of the African Charter on road safety, the law relating to the activity of launching flights, operations, and guiding space objects, the law establishing the Disability Support Fund, law on the rectifying budget of the state for the fiscal year 2022, topics such as road safety, road planning, space research, the various applications arising from space coverage of our countries were raised. Moreover, from the branches of the hemicycle, the debate preceding the vote of the laws concerning the theme of the handicap, one of the priority of the national strategy. Last point on the agenda of the second plenary of the second ordinary sessions of the year, public finance and its different substrates. At the end of the discussions and after the favorable vote of the parliamentarian, the President proceeded to the closing of the work of this public session. The President of the National Assembly, His Excellency Mohammed Ali Mohammed, before starting our agenda, he expressed in his speech that he said that I would like to say a word for Somalia, a brotherly country that has been struck by terrorism. I would like to condemn it in the name of the national representation with the firmness, the Inevitable Act, and it is the occasion for us to reaffirm our solidarity to our Somali brothers and sisters in the face of this barbarism. We send our sincere condolence and to the family affected and our speedy recovery to the many injured. Parliamentarians have questioned the members of the government on the topics such as road safety, road planning, space research, and the various applications arising from space coverage of our country were raised. The member of the government answered the questions of the parliamentarian on the public finances. The Minister of Transport, Hassan Hamad Arbahim, public finance and its different substrate modalities of forecast of researches and public expenses macroeconomic conjuncture. Prime Minister Abdul Qadir, the Prime Minister and acting head of government, Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, said that has taken the floor on the geothermal project, which is a high promising area. He recalled that a very great progress has been made in this sector. The Republic of Djibouti, in solidarity with the Republic following the double terrorist attack of the Shabab in Mogadishu on Saturday, Prime Minister and head of the government, the acting head of government, Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, participated in a blood donations operation for the benefit of hundreds of injured following the double terrorist attack in Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia, which claimed more than 100 victims and several hundred injured. To this end, a team from the National Blood Transfusion Center was dispatched to the Prime Minister's offices to collect blood back from the Prime Minister, the member of the government, and the executives of the offices. The Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed set the example by donating bags of the precious liquid. 5 of his colleagues in the government have made a similar donation. They are the Minister of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Jasmine Sadawale, the Minister of National Education, Vocational Training, Mustafa Muhammad Mahmoud, the Minister of Urbanism and Environment, Muhammad Abdul Qadir Musa, the Minister of Communication in charge of Postal Communication, Radwan Abdullah Badun, the Minister in charge of Decentralization, Qasim Harun Ali, and the Secretary General of the Primacy, Naguib Abdullah Muhammad Kamil. This act of solidarity comes after the vicious and deadly double car bombing that targeted the Ministry of Education in Somalia on Saturday, October 29, killing more than 100 people and injured several hundred. The founding ceremony of the Japan Self-Defense Forces was held this morning at the Japan Self-Defense Forces base in November 1st. Is designated as the anniversary of the founding of the Self-Defense Forces of Japan, and the commemorative ceremony is performed by the commanders of the Maritime Self-Defense Force Fleet Headquarters every year. This ceremony was attended by the commander of the Djibouti Coast Guard, Colonel Wais Omar Boghore, the commander of the National Navy, Colonel Ahmed Daher, the military attaché of each countries, and the armies of each country stationed in Djibouti. During this ceremony, there was a training demonstrations which is performed by members of the armed forces stationed in Djibouti. The Self-Defense Forces facility stationed in Djibouti was installed on June 1st, 2011 as the first overseas facilities, and it will be 10 years in June 2021. The Japanese government, the Ministry of Defense, and the Japan Self-Defense Forces have worked closely with the Republic of Djibouti and deepened the relationship between the two countries for 13 years. Djibouti is a very important partner country to realize the visions of free and open Indo-Pacific. Japan will continue to work together by strengthening defense cooperation to further contribute to ensuring peace and prosperity in the world.
Great honor for all this event and celebrate this important day with lots of guests here. I'd like to take this opportunity to express my sincere appreciation for your understanding on our activities and your daily support. Japan Self-Defense Forces have contributed to secure the peace and stability in the world. JSDF conducted minesweeping operations in the Persian Gulf in 1991. We participated in the UN peacekeeping operations, including its mission in South Sudan. Since the 9/11, JSDF has also joined in the international fight against the terrorism.
As part of the ongoing training during the October break 2020, the Ministry of National Education Vocational Training through the Training Center for Teacher of Basic Education, Omar Geli Ahmed, hosted from October 13 to November 3, 2022, a series of training for 100 teachers of preschool and basic education, teachers, Arabic school, life staff, middle and secondary education, as well as school in refugee villages. It should be said that these different training actions on various and diversified teams, which consists in improving the teaching and learning, but also the classroom practices of teachers by providing them with all the pedagogical resources and the new reference frame of competence from the headmasters, the pedagogical advisors, as well as the teacher of preschool education. The Director General of CFF, Omar Gella Ahmed, was pleased with the good progress of the training and the participation of the trainees. It should be noted that these audience are trained on two major areas of the national training plan, that are the revisions of curricula and professional development. It should be noted that the participants leave the center with the new acquisitions that will benefit the students, but also an opportunity for the teachers who must share their know-how with the support of pedagogical advisor. The Ministry of Social Affairs Solidarity proceeded on Tuesday, November 1st, 2022, to the launching of the supervision mission of the activities carried out in Dudubale in the region of Ali Sabir within the framework of the integrated project of cash transfer and human capital reinforcement called PITCH. Present at the supervision missions of the file activities of the PITCH project was a delegation from the World Bank led by the head of the Social Protection and Employment Cluster of the MENA region, Ms. Anusha Beshanyan, and the senior officials of the ministry and the representative of the Ali Sabih regional authorities, such as the prefect of the Ali Sabih region, Musa Adan Migane, the president of the regional council, Sharmaki Hassan Allale. The delegation started the file visits with the supervision of the cash transfer distribution for the beneficiaries living in Dudubale. The integrated cash transfer and human capital strengthening project aims to provide cash transfers worth 13,000 francs quarterly to each household selected according to their level of vulnerability. Thus, the Ministry of Social Affairs Solidarity is improving the socio-economic conditions of 88 households living in the Ali Sabih region. The prefect of Ali Sabih region, Musa Adan Migane, has said that the Ministry of Social Affairs Solidarity for the implementation of this development project, which support the poorest families living in Ali Sabih region. I would like first to thank the Ministry for granting these funds in favor of the poor families in collaboration with the World Bank, which contributed to the steps aimed at relieving the suffering of the vulnerable segments. The Secretary General of the Ministry of Social Affairs Solidarity stressed the tangible, Amina Ahmed Warsama stressed the tangible importance of the cash transfer and human capital strengthening project called PISHA. Ms. Amina Ahmed noted that these measures was the result of efforts made during the past period in partnership with the World Bank to support vulnerable group of society. The Director General of the National Agency of the Empowerment of Sports, Mr. Mohammed Umar, the head of strong delegation, went yesterday to Ali Sabih for an inspection mission of sports infrastructure in preparation for the upcoming launch of the 2022-2023 season. Welcome in turn in their premises by the Deputy Prefect and the President of the Regional Council of the region. The delegation went first to the sports complex before dropping anchor in the study centers of Ali Sabih. It was a question of taking stock of the infrastructure, exchanging with those in charge of the sites, talking to the staff, stressing their situation, listening to their problems before collecting their grievance. The objective is to revitalize the activities of the Sports Study Center, to launch soon a series of detections of talent in the region of Ali Sabih, a region nursery of champions and gold mine of Djiboutian athletics. For the international scene, the two Korea exchanged their missiles launched on Wednesday, November 2. Pyongyang launched more than 10 missiles, one of which fell near South Korean territorial waters, prompting Seoul to retaliate with 3 air-to-ground missiles, with the South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol denouncing that de facto territorial invasion is a short-range ballistic missile attributed to North Korea first crossed the north boundary line, which is the facto maritime borders between the two countries, prompting a rare air raid alert asking residents of the South Korean island of Gyeongdo to take refuge in underground shelters, according to the Seoul's military. This is the first time since the divisions of the peninsula after the Korean War fighting in 1953 that a North Korean missile has fallen so close to the South territorial waters. And this is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.